So today we have an extraordinary group of two guests. The first one I'd like to introduce is Dr. Jim Loehr. He is the world-renowned performance psychologist. And like Nick Bollettieri, his impact and is so profound and so vast. We are also incredibly fortunate to have a second guest tonight and my co-host in this. He's a former collegiate and ATP player. He's a coach, a mentor, an entrepreneur, a technologist, and a philanthropist. And I'm proud that he's joining us here today. But before we tee up, Dr. Loehr and Gordon, we also have a guest video here that just want to say a couple words about Gordon as well.
Hello guys, this is Novak Djokovic. I would like to say a few words about my dear friend and my brother from another mother, Gordon Uehling. We go back over 10 years, almost 15 years. It was one of the first times that I was playing US Open. I met Gordon through mutual friends in tennis, and ever since the very first moment, ever since that year when we met, he's been taking care of me as his younger brother, and I have always observed him as my older brother and someone that is mentor in my life, someone I can always rely on at times when I need an advice or I just need a good laugh. And so his traits and his character is something that is truly special and rare to see. He's a very, very dear person to me, to my wife, to my entire family, to my entire team. He will always be in my life, and he will always be part of my team. So I love you very much, Gordy. And now let me say a few words about him as an innovator. His passion and his love and dedication to this game is truly remarkable. He's one of the most motivated and dedicated people in tennis that I have ever met.
If we look at, let's say, Roger Federer's forehand, it's a marvel. It's almost like, how does he do that? It's almost like it's completely abnormal. And then you look at Novak's movement, and that is so abnormal. It's like it's not normal for people to move the way Novak does, or Rafa's forehand down the line. It's so abnormal. And so is a great competitive brain. You cannot be normal and be really a great competitor. It's an upgrade in your brain that has to be worked constantly. We no longer look at rest as wasted time. There used to be this idea that if you're a great athlete, don't waste time, taking all these breaks, because breaks are for wimps. Mental toughness means you just charge through and just move everything right to the side and carve your way to the top. And nothing could be further from the truth. Every time you stress a muscle or stress the brain, it actually is a stimulus for growth. That's the stimulus for all growth, is stress exposure. And the growth actually takes place during recovery. So after a run, when you recover afterwards, the growth is actually occurring later. And without the stress, there is no growth. And without the recovery, there's no growth. So stress and recovery are the most basic principles of how life works.
You can't practice with 60% and then suddenly go to a match at 95%. Like, it just doesn't work. You got to train the mind and the body. Help make this a little bit more relevant to the player out there about how differentiated should their approach be, and how do they think about creating this environment for themselves that improves their ability to handle fear, anxiety, stress, nerves, anger, and the like.
So we are creatures of habit. Our body loves habit. Most of who we are is really occurring in this almost unconscious, subconscious realm of just almost doing it automatically. So you can't be all that creative under pressure if all that you've been doing is very different than what's happening in an actual competitive situation. So the more you can make your practices very similar to the way you are going to experience something, and whether it's in the same court, whether it's with players you don't like to play, whether you're playing against cheaters, when the brain also, if you visualize this as a situation where I'm actually in a final here and I've really got to come forward with my best stuff, and you can put that pressure on yourself your body begins to mobilize for that. And then you begin to develop routines for handling it. As I said, between point, for really, I spend an enormous amount of time working with players and their private voices, helping them to coach, to become the best coach they will ever have in terms of how they speak to themselves. And that takes repetition over and over. I have them spend hours journaling to get that executive function in their brain aligned with the competitive arena they're in, so that they become an amazing coach. They become their own Yoda, in a sense. They don't look outside themselves for answers. They look within. And that takes a lot of hard work. So the most important thing you can do to get really tough in a match is to prepare yourself for that. Preparation, preparation, and preparation is everything.
The one thing that's super important is not the winning, but it's the purpose of the practice and what you're trying to accomplish. And you know, so many kids sometimes are focused on the win, and it's really, it's not about that. It's about the process, and process versus outcome.
Low self-esteem is a problem, but so is high self-esteem. High self-esteem is, so often you think you got it. You have this sense, you know, it actually opens the door to arrogance. And, you know, you always believe that you should beat everybody. And it's just what we're looking for. What is really the essence of really a strong person is what I would call stable self-esteem. If you put your self-esteem in things like winning tournaments, on what your world ranking or your ranking is, on how you're doing as far as beating certain people as a benchmark, you don't have control over those things. The things that actually matter in your life, you have control over. And those are the things you've got to put your energy into. And that's what leads to what I would call stable self-esteem. You can lose a match, and you don't like losing for sure, but you have the feeling that you gave your best, you did what you could, and you got beat on that day, and you can still live with yourself, and you don't live and die by things that actually you have no control over. Best single predictor of the success you'll have, and this is actually looking at just about every variable there is drive. How passionate are you? What is your sense of, I'm not giving up. I'm going to make this happen no matter what. And regardless of how many obstacles or challenges you face, you have the sense you're a calling. There's a calling to do this. And the more that this adventure that you're in is really not connected solely to you and to your self-interest, the more you're going to fight for it. So we've learned that the drive is the single most powerful predictor of success. And when we repurpose tennis to become a better, stronger human being and to actually be better prepared in the world and be better for other people and make a contribution to the world, I mean, you almost can't harness it. It's almost it can't be broken. And so what we've learned is that drive is everything, and that's purpose. Why are you playing? Let's get the purpose right. And if you get the purpose right, so many other things fall into place, and all the injuries and disappointments and bad losses can be contained. They're just simply an obstacle in your path, and you are not going to surrender. So the question as a parent, you want to always ask, who is my son or daughter becoming as a consequence of the chase to become the best tennis player they can be on planet Earth? And if they're not becoming a better, stronger person, someone you're really proud of, that they're putting in great effort, great attitude, that they have great sportsmanship, that they have more discipline, they're more focused, they're likely not going to become world-class players and make a living at it. If that's like 1/10 of 1%, what they're likely going to do is to use all the experience that they had as a tennis player to become better in everything they do for the rest of their lives. I would say that the most important thing is that you begin to realize what a gift this is in terms of helping you develop and become a stronger human being in all dimensions, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, in terms of character. So that one day you'll look back and you'll want to give this gift to your kids, because you realize that this sport is unbelievable in terms of presenting challenges and all kinds of obstacles in your way, and you have to rally all kinds of resources in yourself, focus, full engagement, give your best effort, attitude, and all of these things require great inner strength. And when you recognize what a gift this game of tennis has been to all of us, you'll really understand when you're in the middle of it, this is a gift to me, because when I rally myself against this, I'm going to become stronger and better, not just for tennis, but something far more important. And when I'm out there in the real world, I can look back and say, you know, tennis was one of the great gifts of my life, and I will be forever thankful. As long as you have the purpose right, this is the greatest game there is. It's the greatest gift you can give another person.